Wonderful memories, you know, particularly in a race like that.
A moment Olsen will cherish and never forget.
It's only a replica of the big fella, but of course it's always lovely to look back on something like this.
There's a method to Larry's madness. He's still fit and booting home winners, but harbours that burning desire for Cup number 2.
Love to, Terry. I'd love to have the opportunity again. I don't know whether that'll ever come about. It's looking a bit more remote as time goes by.
Still, Olsen will long remember that first Tuesday in November, 8 long years ago, when he was as happy as Larry.
Taking the lead. Kenside's going to win the Cup. What a ride, Larry Olsen.
Yes, indeed, I remember it well. What a great day that was for Larry Olsen and for Kensai. A lot of memories associated with the Cup over the last 10 years or so. Well, most people in racing are aware of the runctions going on within the AJC here in Australia. I have with me a very special guest who heads up the British Horse Racing Board, Tristram Ricketts. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, Tim.
The board was established by who and for what reason?
It was established in 1993 by the industry. It became clear in the early 90s that it was no longer going to be acceptable for racing to be run as a business by an unelected body such as the Jockey Club.
Yes.
So racing responded very quickly to that clear signal from government, and we were set up 2.5 years ago, and the new arrangements are working, I have to say, extremely well.
In an article I've read about you, they virtually said you were given the task of dragging horse racing in Britain into the 90s. And how do you go about doing that? Because it's got so much history associated with it, horse racing.
It's very important that we keep the traditions, all the best traditions of racing we are determined to maintain. But as you say, we have to continually improve. And one of the things that racing, I think, has been bad at in the UK is marketing and promoting itself, which is becoming increasingly important as the leisure pound becomes ever more called upon.
When you took on the position, what did you feel was the most important thing that had to be done to help or to change horse racing in Britain?
Well, I think that the key thing is to ensure that we start getting the crowds back in large numbers onto the track. Of course, racing is a very important betting medium, but once you lose it as a spectator sport, the whole heart and soul goes out of the sport. So we've been concentrating very much on marketing the sport to a new and younger audience. We've been much helped this year by having Sunday racing for the very first time with full on and off course betting, and that we think is going to help us to generate a new market for the racing public.
Oh, lovely to have you here. Thank you very much for joining us. But incidentally, very quickly, got a tip for the Cup? Something you like?
I think I must say Double Trigger.
I thought you might. Tristram Ricketts, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, Tim.
Let's go racing again. Here's Pete and Jen.
And these runners are in the yard now, Tim, the mounting yard, a field of 6 for the Vic Health 1000, scratchings here 1, 5, 6 and 10. So only a small field, and Oral Sculpture is the one that we're leading off with here, Jen, to be ridden by Danny Nikolic, trained by Peter Hayes, looks very well in the mounting yard, and 3 placings at its last 3 appearances after a win at Sandown back in August.
Yes, well, this horse's fresh form is very, very good, Pete. In fact, he's won twice first up before. 56.5 kilos, a bit of weight here on the heavy track, and he is unknown on the ground, as are most of these horses. I didn't mind his last run at Caulfield. I thought he had the run of the race there, and he battled on all right. So he's sure to go well. He's an honest type of racehorse.
Zerovic is number 3. Johnny Didden, the rider, for his father Midge, who won the Melbourne Cup on Baghdad Note back in 1970. Second at Caulfield was a good effort behind Extracts. Beaten 3 lengths, but Extracts is smart, and then finished down the track at Flemington in the Clark Stakes. Any excuses that run?
Well, no, there probably wasn't. I thought he probably had every chance there at Caulfield, but Pete, this horse has gone quite well down the straight before. He's in fact had run second 3 times down the straight, so he goes well, and if he handles these conditions, he's there with a chance.
Rustic Pace, number 4, has finished 9th at his past 2 starts here at Flemington, but is trained at the track by Gerald Ryan.
He's won over 1,000 metres before, but that was at Sandown. The Rustic Ambers normally handle the wet conditions, so he's got to be considered here.
Shearer, number 7, to be ridden by Carl Simons, trained by Mark Riley at Caulfield. Second in Adelaide after winning at Sandown over 1,000 metres.
Well, she's an absolute flying machine. She just goes so fast, this horse, but she can also stop very quickly. So we'll have to see what she does on this heavy track, but she'll be there for quite some time.
Tetrico was scratched on Saturday for this. 1 start, 1 win, and that was at Sale, and won by 5 lengths. So obviously does have a lot of ability.
The obvious thing about Tetrico is the class rise here, but it was a nice win at Sale, and the breed normally showed quite a liking to the wet track, so I've considered her. I've put her in the placings for sure.
And finally, Backbone has also had the 1 star, Jen, for a second at Kyneton behind Endless Power.
Yes, went okay in the maiden. He got clear, but he was run down towards the final stages there. I think he's probably going to find this a little bit tougher, and he raced to me as if he was a bit new. He needs a little bit more experience.
What's your pick in the small field, Jen?
Well, Pete, I'm going for number 2, Oral Sculpture. I think he can win from number 3, Zarovic, and number 8, Tetrico.
I'm with Oral Sculpture as well, number 2. Only a small field of 6. They're heading up the straight now with the Clarks of the course. They almost outnumber the runners. Vic Health 1000, 12:25 the starting time. Back to Flemington very shortly. Runners are arriving up at the stalls now for the start of race 2. There's Oral Sculpture about to move into the gates. And colourful crowd here at Flemington today. I think your fan club's just turned up at the mounting yard, Jen.
Oh, they're a sight for sore eyes, these guys, aren't they?
There are some elegant people here and some, Dan, who are just a little on the weird side.
Yes, indeed. Takes all sorts, though, doesn't it? That's what makes it so magical this day. Oral Sculpture at $2.90 is the favourite. From Zarovic, $5.50, $8.50 for Rustic Pace, $4.40 for number 7, Shearer. Remember, place dividends will be paid only for the first and second horse. Tetrico, $5.50, and Backbone at $7.70. When there's less than 8 horses in a race, there's only 2 place dividends unless it gets to a field of 4 where there's no place pool at all. So they move in now, only a field of 6, so they'll go up quickly. Gary Willits.
Yes, Dan. I've got a little leaning for number 3, Zarovic. I'd love it to win it for Johnny Didham and Midge Didham. It'll be a great father and son conversation.
That's the race start. Straight down. Flemington, 5 furlongs, 1,000 metres.
I definitely think the fence is the best too, Dan, after seeing the hurdler. He got on the fence and stayed there.
Here are the tips. Oral Sculpture from Pete and Jen. John likes Zarovic, and Roy Higgins tips Rustic Pace. I thought it was some sort of hope myself.
Looked very well going to the start then.
No exposed wet track form here, so they're really on an even par, and punters are guessing. Backbone is ready. Tetrico, trained by Robbie Lang, who won the Wakeful Stakes last year with Dream of the Dance. Tetrico 1 start for a 5-length maiden win, and that was at Sale. And the attendants are working on pushing it up to its stall.
A bit reluctant to go in.
Well, it's pretty much an awesome assignment on a day like this. Terry, obviously punters are treading warily on this race. Terry Kennedy in the betting ring.
As you said, yes, the wet track has thrown this race into confusion. Oral Sculpture, $2.90 on the tote. You can get a good point better than that with bookmakers. Zarovic, about $5, same with bookmakers. And Tetrico is the one they have come for. It opened at each way odds. That has been backed.
Thanks, Terry. Well, they're having trouble getting it up to the gates at the moment. Now they'll get it in. It moves up Tetrico. Had to go up riderless. Brian Werner, the rider.
Yeah, incredible the way they get them in, Dan. They get to know these horses better than the jockeys, half these guys that work on the barriers.
Yeah, they are very astute horsemen. And they do a terrific job. I'm sure all the jockeys are most thankful for the help they get from all the barrier attendants. Now, Brian Werner back aboard Tetrico. Field of 6. Racing. And jumped away pretty well too. The first out was Shearer, but it has to be ridden hard to try and lead them. Oral Sculpture away pretty well. Zarovic going through in the blue colours to be second. Shearer settles down in front. Burns away early and leads 2 lengths to Zarovic, Oral Sculpture and Backbone, and then Tetrico and Rustic Pace. Down towards the 700, and Shearer going like the wind. Leads by 3.5 lengths now. Zarovic on the inside of Oral Sculpture, and Backbone in the yellow and red colours next from Tetrico. Rustic Pace is under the whip, 4 lengths away. Onto the course proper, 450 out. Shearer 4 lengths in front of Oral Sculpture. Backbone and down the outside, Tetrico. Zarovic back behind them, and then Rustic Pace at Shearer at the 250, a length and a half in front. They're coming. Backbone after it, Oral Sculpture the centre, then Tetrico, and then came Zarovic. Backbone has hit the lead at the 200-metre point. Backbone in front, Tetrico closing now. Backbone by 1 length. Tetrico trying to run it down. Backbone and Tetrico. Backbone just in front of Tetrico. Backbone has just won. Backbone beat Tetrico, 5 lengths away. Zarovic third. Then came Oral Sculpture, Rustic Pace and Shearer, who literally went like the wind in the early part, stopped just as quick and pulled up 6th over the line, and the time was 60.5 seconds, which is 5 seconds outside the record. And I've got to say there, Gary Willits, I don't think any of those horses handled the heavy track.
I don't think so, and like this horse here, it's only its second start for Lee Friedman, and it was beaten in a maiden last start, so that sort of just shows you the form. It's pretty hard to assess it on a track like this.
It'll be a great confidence booster for David Taggart, who rides at Beau Art in the Melbourne Cup. David piloted a Backbone to victory there, so it must be a massive thrill and give him terrific confidence for later.
Oh, yeah, there's nothing like it. You've got that first one up.
Here's the head-on shot, Shearer in front. This is about the 250-metre point, but once the horse got to this point, she compounded pretty quickly. Backbone grabbed it, and nothing seemed to be running on. Tetrico's going to improve. He's still very green.
Yeah, Tetrico's the one right on the outside. He's just starting to lay in a little bit here. You see Brian Werner, he's actually got the stick in the left hand. And here's David Taggart on Backbone. He's just going to pull the whip now in the gold and the red cap.
Numbers are 9, 8 and 3, and what a confidence booster Peter Donegard will be for Lee Friedman.
Yes, indeed, Dan, and Lee's down here with us. Did you know that horse could handle the heavy?
Absolutely not. we had him on one run, and we thought he could win that day, and he just got run down, and he has gone on and improved well. And Rosemary Brodribb, who's Alan Brodribb's sister that owned Sub-Zero, we knew she was coming down from the cup. We said, would you like us to run the horse? She said, I don't care where he runs, I'd love to run him. Yeah. So we said, all right. And when the field fell away, I said, well, if he can handle it, he's in the race.
Gee, the leader goes well. It's a quarter horse, I think.
Very fast horse, but it's hard to keep going that pace in that ground, you know. I think David rode our horse very well, sat back off him and made his move at the right time.
Lee, well done. Hopefully the forerunner of things to come.
Well, it's a nice start.
Lee Friedman, the winning trainer in race 2. Here's Johnny Letts with the winning rider, David Taggart.
Dave Taggart, very excited, winning on at the Melbourne Cup Carnival.
Yeah, it's great to start of the day off like this, Johnny. Hope you can be there about 3:25.
Well, we'll all be, cheering for you on then, mate, but you picked up the ride on Backbone. What was it? You've just picked up the right, his right work for Lee Friedman, or you've ridden for Lee a bit, haven't you?
I've ridden for Lee a bit. Lucky ride too. He said it'll go good. The Arc regions, some handle it wet, some don't. We're just guessing here, and he got through it good.
Yeah, Dave, and that horse Shearer showed a lot of speed, didn't it? Did it have you worried for a long way?
I reckon it's a good half mile specialist, Johnny Shearer, and actually I think the front probably too close. Too far out, and he just put his head up and rode.
Yeah, congratulations, Dave, and 3:25 if you're here. Well, I'm sure you'll be a very popular winner if you win the big one.
Thanks, mate, and I hope Mark McDonald get well soon.
David Taggart.
And David will be aboard Beau Art in the Melbourne Cup later on this afternoon. Numbers here, 9, 8 and 3. The time, 1 minute, 0.5 of a second, 5 seconds outside the record. Back to Flemington.
Well, we've given up talking about the weather in Melbourne. It doesn't matter because wherever you're watching us from, you're either in a comfy lounge room somewhere or, of course, knocking them back in some ritzy hotel or bar or club. 54. So we hope you're enjoying the coverage wherever you're watching us from. 7, 6, Melbourne Cup Carnival 1995. We show you this every time after a race because it's very important. We cannot pay you any money without Mr. Lawler saying correct weight.
983.
And we've come to know his body language. He looks pretty happy. There is correct weight, so Danny Malecki can now give you the divvies. These are Victorian, of course, on the second.
$7.40 for Backbone for the win and $3.10 the place. $2.70 for number 8 Tetrico, and no third dividend for Zarovic. The Quinella $14.60, the trifecta $177.30, which is not a bad dividend for only a field of 6, and the race-to-race double returned $119.30 on 9, 8 and 3. And just reiterating the time there, it was 1 minute and 5/10 of a second.
I've got a job to do, putting the clods back today, and there is Backbone, and he showed plenty of it. Good win. Presentations are right for the second. Here is Richard Zachariah.
Welcome to the presentation for the Vic Health 1000. Our host for this race is Mr. Doug Reid from the VRC. Thank you very much. And this race, of course, is sponsored by the Victorian Health Promotion Foundation. And the board member from that foundation is Mr. Ron Casey.
Thank you, Richard. Excellency, Mr. Premier, parliamentarians, VRC committee, ladies and gentlemen. Vic Health is the Victorian Health Promotion Foundation, which is the funding organisation for numerous health organisations to be able, through sponsorship, to carry their messages to the people of Victoria. The sponsorship has been extended to more than 95 separate operations this year, and racing figures prominently in those sponsorships, both metropolitan and country. In addition to this race today on Cup Day, the sponsorship extends to the Newmarket Handicap and to the Winter Championship here at Flemington. Congratulations go to the winner of the Vic Health 1000 today. Sponsorship is all about messages, and the message we wanted to convey, of course, today is on behalf of Diabetes Australia, and that is healthy diet, try it. And for those here on course, you have the opportunity of taking advantage of the testing van before you leave the course, which is at the back of the hill stand. Congratulations go to Barbara Brodrib.
Thank you, Ron. It's always a pleasure to see Ron Casey, one of the real personalities of Australian sport. Well, there's Backbone, the third. I tell you what, Peter Donegan, I think you'd be better off with the chocolate wheel to try and pick the winner.
Yeah, it's really, well, a dartboard job. Absolutely, Tim, because none of these horses, the 2-year-olds, Jen, have ever set foot on a rain-affected track, so it's complete guesswork.
It is, absolutely, Pete, and also we've got to go on a bit of breeding. Some of the breed can handle it, some can't, but that doesn't always work either, so the form guides are almost chucked out the window for the next race.
Hollywood Fred and Tennessee Spirit are the two scratchings, numbers 2 and 10, so we've got a field of 8 to roam. We'll come back and find out what you think in a minute. But first of all, here's Dan Malecki with a tight call on race 3.
Peter, Johnny Hawks' only runner for the day is Caleb's, ridden by Shane Dye. It's open $5.92.60. Beera, $2.60 and $1 cost over $130,000 at the yearling sales. Brave Bulldog, $8.20. 29 for Arlunya. Piratelli, $18.90. Proven True at $6.30. Last start at Chuka winner. And Scripture, $23.50, and Shostakovich, $4.70 and $1.50. But there are 3 place dividends, importantly, for this event. Race number 3 for the 2-year-olds over the 1,000 metres.
Yes, I thought Beera and, well, Jen, we can have a look at the tote figures there on the cup, and we can see that Double Trigger is still the favourite at $5.50. Vintage Crop has got its supporters, and Doremus has come in a little bit. It's into $9.70 now. And then we go over the page to Count Chivas, the big tip overnight, at round about the $14 mark. And support for Quick Ransom, number 14, and also number 16, Fewer Chosen. And then over the page we go. Yes, indeed, has some support. Storms in the betting, and so too are the bottom 2, Electronic and Nothing Like a Dane. So there are the latest tote figures as the pools build up for the Foster's Melbourne Cup, with Double Trigger the 9-2 favourite on the tote at the moment. And there's an amazing difference. 9-2 the favourite, 9-1 equals second picks Vintage Crop and Doremus on the Victorian tote for race 6.
Stop, and it will win because I said so.
My tip for the Melbourne Cup is Double Trigger because it's a violent beast.
My tip for the Cup is definitely Gossips because it sounds like a really bad nightclub, and there's not one called the Chevron, so Gossips it is.
After backing Nothing Like a Dane on Derby Day and winning, I think it's a surefire winner for the Cup.
Because the headline next day will say, yes, indeed you do.
Yes, all of them have a chance other than Gossips. It's scratched. Of course, that charming young man wasn't to know that before he made the prediction. Well, I'm just disappointed I'm not down in the marquee to have a quiet one with this fella myself, Sandra Sully, because I happen to think he's one of the real greats of Australian music. Sandra has Peter Couples with her.
That there's always a way, and when it seems hope is gone, you're standing alone, you know you hold the power of change.
I think that's a good name for a horse.
It certainly is.
Not to mention a good name for a song. Peter, welcome to the Melbourne Cup.
Thank you very much.
It's going to be a great day. This is your first one.
It is actually, and we were actually hoping to have a runner today. Overpay in the 4th. Of course, it was probably the longest odded horse here, but unfortunately bowed a tendon, and I imagine that's fairly painful, so we had to scratch him.
What's your tip today?
I think that Gay might get up again. I think she's having a great carnival. I think Electronic in the wet, lightweight, they're definitely a good each way.
Now, a couple of neighbour stars here. Eliza, Anthony, what are your bets today? Storm.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go for Storm as well.
Going for the omens, aren't
We
they?
can understand why. And don't forget Peter Coppell's new song, The Power of Change. Tim, it's going to be a great one, not to mention a great day here at the Cup.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody. Peter Coppels is a big talent, no doubt about that. Speaking of big talents, people talk about other people taking things by storm. Yet another clue for the Cup, I suppose. And it's a bit of a cliche sometimes, but some say it doesn't really happen, or at least it didn't, not until Gai Waterhouse hit the training ranks. Already, she has an impressive string of Group 1 successes, including, of course, the Derby on Saturday. Her lifelong dream involves winning one particular Group 1 race. No prizes for guessing which one.
She's currently the best-known face in Australian racing. But to catch up with Gai Waterhouse, you have to be almost as fit as some of the horses she prepares.
Nothing like the Dane beat Octagonal. Third placing to Donar, then Skybow, followed by El Kahira-san.
You dream about this?
You're always dashing off here or dashing off there. Where do you get your energy from?
Well, someone once said that I didn't know what I put in the hot lemon juice when I have it in the mornings. I don't know. I think it's just a make-up. You sometimes get some horses or animals that are very hyperactive. Well, I suppose I'm like that. And then you'll get the very relaxed horse. So I always say if I was a horse, I'd be a very good sprinter, but I might be a very poor stayer.
It's hard to imagine Gai Waterhouse being poor at anything. And she was bred to take the racing world by storm, as her father, the legendary TJ Smith, did for so long. Is it a fairly tempestuous relationship between you and TJ sometimes?
Sometimes, yes, it could be very much like that. But other times we flow along. You know, we're in many ways very similar. We're both very sort of volatile people, and we're very opinionated people. And I suppose he's got the track record to be very opinionated.
Like anyone who's successful, Gai has had to put up with a fair degree of professional jealousy. Does that hurt you at all?
No, it sort of amuses me. Look, I'm a great believer, and I think it's a tremendously great waste of time being jealous. There'll always be people with more ability, more money, better positions, better looking, whatever you say, there'll always be someone. So why be jealous? Just say, this is my lot, how can I improve it?
The fact that your husband is not able to share in what you're doing at the moment, how much does that really gnaw away at you?
Well, it's very frustrating because he's been disqualified for such a long time, and you start to think, time must be up sooner or later. I mean, and you realise that he's a person who's a very honourable person, and I think well and truly proven that to society, and so I do get very frustrated.
Is it time now to forgive and forget, do you think?
I think so, but that's up to the AJC to decide that.
Do you think they will?
Well, I'm sure sooner or later. Perhaps sooner before later.
Given the chance, Gai said the race she'd love to win above all others would be the Melbourne Cup. Something she almost did with Te Akau Nick 2 years ago.
Oh, it was unbelievable. When he was leading, I thought, I think I'm going to win this. And then as he got close, I thought, ooh. And I said to someone, my God, it was I can't describe the feeling. So anyone who's won a big race knows. And since then, I've won several big races. But that day was very special because I'd never been in that position before.
You do wear your heart on your sleeve, don't you, on a race course?
Yes, very much so, yes. I think everyone knows if I'm enjoying myself.
Could you ever see yourself doing anything different for the rest of your life? Or do you think you'll be a horse trainer until the day you die? No,
I definitely can see myself doing something different. I envisage that in 20 or 30 years' time I'd be doing something very different. I don't know what, but I'd like to think that I did a few different things in my life, because you only get one bite of the cherry, and I'd like to be able to have a different look around. But at present, all I want to do is train horses.
Plenty of people, me included, in Melbourne this week are saying that she's the best thing to happen to thoroughbred racing in a decade or two, and you couldn't agree more. Gai, we warned you the lunatics would be here. It wouldn't be the Melbourne Cup without them. They just make it a great day. They really do. Coming up, David Caruso, a great actor from NYPD Blue. He'll be joining us. Don't you go away. There's the Beast, and there's... Who's that? Batman? I don't know. Well, I have no idea who that is. Gene Shrimpton's alter ego. There's John Wayne, Barbarella. I don't know who these people are. That's got to be a bloke. Told you. Unbelievable. And there's the Cup's king, and extraordinarily does not have a runner in the Melbourne Cup this year. That's Bart Cummings, of course. Everybody's here. They always are on Melbourne Cup Day. All right, once again this year, we're giving you a chance for you to win on each day of the Melbourne Cup Carnival with our Crown fashion competition with food.
The Melbourne Cup. Of course, it's about the race course, but it's also about a lark in the car park and a free feed. Come this way. Hello, folks. How are you? Thank you very much. Isn't it a lovely day? Haven't paid for a bite to eat all day. Thank you very much. I'd ask you for a tip, but I'll move on. Thank you. Now, on a damp and drizzly Melbourne Cup, I guess it's food and also shelter. Thank you, folks. This is a good idea, isn't it? Do you mind if I have a sandwich?
No, that's okay.
Have you got a tip for me as well?
Yeah, who are we going for? Double trigger? Double trigger, yeah.
I've got a tip for you too. You won't see the race inside a panel van, see you? Ladies, it's a lovely spread. It's just about improvisation, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The weather's not worrying you at all?
No way. Absolutely.
You know I'm just making cheap conversation so I can pitch some food, don't you? What's this?
Salmon pate.
Salmon pate? Well, it's not caviar, but it'll do. Ta-da! I don't believe it. I found it. I've been looking for you all day. A date and a plate, the perfect option. What's your name?
Sally.
Sally, are you looking for a party?
Why not?
You've just found one. I'm full, but I'm just looking for that final celebration. The boys from the bush, you can help me out here, can't you?
No.
Almost dry. Almost dry. This is what I call a ute. Timmy Webster and I'll just look after that one after the cup.
Bales, don't lose those blokes. I'm coming to find them. A ute full of... Oh, lovely. And the racecourse is looking lovely too. There's a pretty shot from one of our cameramen of one of the roses, one of the thousands of roses here at Flemington. Peter Donegan, Bailey's out there on the bludgeon. Here we all are slaving away. Take it away.
Those fellas will still be there on Thursday.
I'm sure.
Anyway, I'm sure someone will help them out after the last. They're coming out for the third. The Anderson Consulting Stakes at 1:05. 2 and 10 out. Shane Guy takes the right on Caleb's here. And we've cast an eye over these in the mounting yard, Jim, because we don't know about them on wet tracks. But this horse has run 2 seconds from its 2 starts and is certainly the biggest horse in the field.
Absolutely. Very nice type, this one. I thought first up he probably raced a little bit ungenerously. He was wide on the turn and he did get a slight check and then he did run on very well. His next start, I think he probably found the 900 metres a little bit too short for him. He's a horse that does like to race handy in his races. I think he'll be there for quite some time, Pete.
Bira number 3, trained by Lee Freedman, ridden by Damien Oliver, finished down the track at his first appearance. That was on the 4th of October and then came out and ran third behind Flavour, which is pretty smart on Cox Plate Day at Moonee Valley.
Well, you can forget his first run because he did get poleaxed there and it put him right out of the race completely. But his next run at Moonee Valley, he missed the start again. He did do it before that as well. And he ran home very, very well. It was a good effort there, but he's just going to have to improve his barrier manners. If he gets away with them, I think he's got a terrific chance.
Brave Bulldog hasn't troubled them at his 2 starts, trained by G.R. Webb at Geelong. Nifty Neville Wilson is the rider.
Well, the Brave Region horses do normally like the wet track, so that's definitely in this horse's favour. He's got a little bit of experience under his belt as well. I think the 1,000 metres here is going to suit this horse, and he's there with an each-way chance.
The flashiest horse in the field, without doubt, is number 5, Arlunya B. Werner, trained by Robbie Lang at Epsom. He was right up on his toes in the mounting yard, Jen.
Yes, he's had 2 trials, this horse, and they've both been okay, but it looks as though he just might need a little bit more ground than the 1,000 metres here today.
Pirates Alley, Norman Weymouth having its first start.
Yes, he hasn't been seen at the trial, so the betting is the best guide for this horse.
Number 7 has proven true, and the rider here, Patrick Payne.
Showed pace and he weakened the first up. Then I thought he was far too good for a weak field at Echuca. He won by 4 lengths there, so he's got to be left there with a place chance because the breed do handle the wet.
8 is Scripture, also a first starter. Travis Harrison is the rider.
I haven't seen this horse at the trials, and I think that we'll probably just have to see him. I'd rather see him first up.
And number 9 is Shostakovich, also having its first start, and Darren Beedman takes the ride.
Well, he did trial a couple of months ago, this horse, so there's some natural improvement in him. Definitely one to watch in this race, and I gave him a chance, but I cannot pronounce his name.
Shostakovich.
Thank you.
It's easy. What did you think, Jen?
Well, number 3, Bira for me, if he gets away with them, and number 9, the one that I cannot pronounce, and number 7.
OK, well, I've gone for number 3, Bira. We're going to take a quick break, and if Frankie Dettori ever stops making faces at Jenny Chapman out here in the mounting yard, we'll be back to talk to the world's #1 jockey in just a moment. Welcome back. back to Flemington on Melbourne Cup Day 1995, and the runners about to move into the stalls for the Anderson Consulting Stakes. As I mentioned, the world's #1 jockey, Frankie Dettori, is with us. Welcome to sunny Melbourne.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Where's the sun?
I think it's over there behind those clouds. I don't think we're likely to see it, though. It's a disappointment, isn't it?
Well, it was funny. On Saturday before I left, I spoke to Les Benton, and I asked, well, Les, coming over, what should I take? And he said, oh, don't worry.